Darrion Williams and PJ Haggerty, if the money's right, could you do both?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can sign up today and get $200 back in bonus bets if that pesky first $5 bet wins. Head on over to FanDuel.com in order to get started today. Happy Wednesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, we have discussed this a couple weeks ago, but it was believed that the main suitors for Darrion Williams would have been Kansas, Ohio State, and NC State. And originally, the main suitors for PJ Haggerty were Texas, Ole Miss, a return to Memphis, and NC State. Since then, some things have changed. It appears that NC State is the clear frontrunner for PJ Haggerty. But on Tuesday, Darrion Williams now officially withdrew from the NBA draft. He will be returning to college. And now it's believed that Kansas and NC State are the main two frontrunners. So although nothing has quite changed in terms of the suitors, Kenton, if the stars are to align, if the money is right, if the pennies and dimes and nickels fall into place, do you see a world where NC State could potentially land both of them?
I do see a world where it would happen. Hopefully, we're on Earth 616. Hopefully, that's the main timeline in MC. Never mind, we're not going to get into that. The reality is this. If we can land both of these guys, what a time. What a time. Again, I keep telling everybody, this is not about the ACC getting ready to learn some reckoning. National college basketball. Get ready. Get ready. Frank William Wade is coming. He's coming. And there will be no pleasantries exchanged. There will be no niceties given out. There will only be belt and behind. That is all there will be. If you can get both of these players, this is a moment where you instantly not only elevate your program and the caliber of your program, you get people looking, and for the right reasons. There is nothing more important to a lot of these recruits than a place that they know I can go and make a name for myself. I can go and do great things there. If you have the foundational team of the Will Wade at State tenure to be a team that featured multiple top 5 or top 10 guys out of the portal, I'm telling you, there will be massive shockwaves sent. For those of y'all who don't know, I used to work at this little station called WRAL in Raleigh covering high school football. So I know some of the coaches. I know some of the folks in the Central Triangle area or the Central North Carolina area. And I've talked to, either the coaches of or families of recruits. And I said, what's going on? What does NC State have to do to get some of these top guys to stay in state? And all of them said, just win. Just show these kids that you can win at a high level. I specifically talked about going into last season that there were multiple big names who were committed, but if NC State proved it could win, when everything was set up and all that happened, things would happen. In basketball, I don't expect there to be a grave difference if they can go and pull off some very good things in year one under Will Wade. This is a team that has players trusting in the vision. The vision, not the reality. The vision. When the reality sets in and Will Wade gets to coaching these guys up like we know he can do, hey, pack in the mail is gone. Okay, it's over with. It's done with. It's been real. It's been fun for all the other schools in the Triangle having their fun. It's been real. It's been fun for all the other old school blue bloods having their fun. But guess what? The sleeping giant is up. It's up, and you can hear it coming down your way like it's Aaron Yeager and the rumbling coming, because Will Wade has awakened the sleeping giant here.
If there is a hypothetical world in which Will Wade and Andrew Slater and this staff is able to land both Darrion Williams and PJ Haggerty, you would be taking a step above contending for the ACC. You would then instantly become a national championship contender. And that sounds crazy. But I'm going to grab your shoulder when I tell you this. It's not crazy. That team would have so much talent that becomes within the realm of possibility. Because think about this. You would have Trey Holloman running the point. You'd have PJ Haggerty playing the 2. Probably like Terrence Arsenault / Darrion / Allen Breed. Couple different options there at the 3. More than likely going to have Darrion Williams at the 4, Paul Mbia at the 5. 3 of those guys that I just mentioned, Haggerty, Williams, and Mbia, are like fringe NBA draft guys right now. Those are fringe second-round NBA draft picks right now. You could roll them all out in the same roster. Not to mention Trey Holloman, not to mention Terrence Arsenault, not to mention Allen Breed, Matt Abel, Jerry Dang. That would be an unbelievable roster. It'd be by far the most talented roster we've ever had at NC State. I would go as far as to say more talented than anything we had in the 70s. That includes the roster that had David Thompson on it. The best ACC basketball player of all time never had a team as talented as this hypothetical one we're talking about right now. Now, me saying all that, I probably got you jazzed up. For some of y'all, I'm going to be letting y'all down easy now. I don't know if I do see the hypothetical world in which this can take place. I don't know if NC State has enough cheddar cheese to potentially pull in the both of them. I'm still under the impression that it will be an either-or situation, which is fine because both players are excellent players that raise the ceiling of what this team can be. But I'll say this again. If there is by some possibility a world in which NC State can pull in both of them, completely changes everything. You would be the ACC favorite, not just a dark horse or not just a possible contender. You'd be the favorite. That includes over Duke. That includes over Louisville, Dirty Foot Club, anybody. That would be by far the most talented roster in the league. And when you have the most talented roster in your league, then you jump to a national scale. Could you compete against the top SEC schools? I believe that you could. Could you compete against the top Big Ten schools? I believe that you could. There's no one that hypothetical roster could not run with in the country. I truly believe that. So unfortunately, it is purely hypothetical. We'll see where this goes. Obviously, things can change. We've heard Will Wade in interviews saying that he's on the phone with donors seemingly every day. He's one hell of a salesman, so I don't know. Don't rule out anything with Will Wade. With what we know about Will Wade and what we've seen so far in his, barely 2 months here in Raleigh, anything's possible. The sky is the limit. And so I want to shout out the NC State fans, mainly the burner accounts that are online right now pushing this agenda. Because NC State, their online presence, it has more pull than you think it has. NC State as a program can have gravity with Will Wade. They can pull in multiple top-level guys, and then you push that forward into year one. If he wins on a massive scale, that gravity becomes very real. So I want to encourage NC State fans, you should believe that you can pull in both. You should strive for this program to reach a point where they can compete and land 2 guys of that caliber. You should want that. That changes the landscape of the program. Despite what I'm telling you and that I don't know if it's likely, which I don't really think that it is, that's fine. You should want NC State to be in those rooms having those conversations. Darrion Williams returning to college basketball is not really something that's totally unexpected. Ironically enough, between Williams and Haggerty, Williams was the one that had his name in the most NBA mock drafts. So I'd have to imagine that will bode well for the decision to be made for PJ Haggerty. But nothing really changed. Like, we knew Kansas was going to be involved. We knew NC State had interest. Maybe Ohio State, although I don't really take them that seriously with all due respect. So nothing has quite changed there, but I don't know. If there's a world where you can make both happen, it would change everything at NC State.
While Grayson is saying it's not likely, he's not saying it's impossible.
It's not impossible.
He's not saying there's not a world where this happens. And even beyond that, even if you get either one of these players, we are still talking about a year one roster that's something to be excited about. Just with both of these players, they're playing with the Monstars. And fortunately for us, LeBron James nor Michael Jordan is walking through that door.
You would essentially be looking at a roster like if you're playing 2K and you turn off fair trades where you can just pull anyone you want to play for your team. That's what it would feel like if you have Holloman, Haggerty, Williams, Mbia, Arsenault. That would be next level insane to fathom that to be on an NC State roster. So it's not impossible. Like I said, don't feel like anything is out of reach with Will Wade, because it's not. We're more than likely to have a couple more surprises at some point from Wade and this staff, as they've been unpredictable so far. So if NC State can have both, give us your thoughts in the comment box. What does that do for the program? Potential drawbacks, potential bonuses. Tell us everything you think about if you can have both. Hashtag why not both? Coming up next, the ACC football win totals are out for the summer. What changed for NC State? Did anything change? More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our Wednesday sponsor is FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. There's major momentum shifts and can't-miss moments, and so whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and even playing live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have now more ways than ever before to play smart and win big. Who are you taking in the Eastern Conference Finals? Can the Canes finish the deal and make it back to the Stanley Cup? On the basketball side of things, will it be the Knicks or will it be the Pacers? Make your choice and stand on it with 10 toes down, only on FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, right now is the perfect time to sign up. Head over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll win $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Middle portion of our Wednesday show, switching gears into some ACC football. The win totals on FanDuel have been released for the summer portion. Now, they get released early, like when the schedule typically comes out. Then they revise them right around, now. And then those are your win totals to go on for the entirety of the summer. They'll more than likely change like one last time before the season kicks off. But for right now, we'll review this because I think it's interesting to see if our thoughts have changed at all since the schedule has released. So right now, I'll bring up the ACC win totals here on the screen. So quickly, just mowing through them. Clemson's at 9.5. At 8.5, you have Louisville, Miami, and SMU. 7.5, you have Florida State, Georgia Tech, and the Dirty Foot Club. 6.5, you have Duke, NC State, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Cal. 5.5, you have Boston College, Pitt, and Syracuse. 4.5, Wake Forest, and 3.5, the Stanford Cardinals. So, Kenton, you see NC State at 6.5. If I'm not mistaken, that line has not moved at all since it was originally released around the schedule release a couple months ago. I think it was late January. Knowing what we know now, what we've acquired out of the transfer portal, both, limited fashion on the offense, mainly focused on the defense. What are your thoughts on the 6.5 win total? Have your thoughts changed any?
No, I'm still very bullish on this team will win less than 6 or more than 7. I still am a very big believer on this is either going to be a disaster class or a master class this year. There will be no midseason this year. We will not see a 7-win team this year because the way that this season starts off, this team will have the type of either excitement or dejection to come out of the gates to tell you what type of year this is going to be very, very early. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in this episode. But as far as what I saw out of the portal, as far as what I saw in terms of who we picked up, don't get me wrong. I like our pickups. I don't think that any of them, except for the tackle, moved the needle in a very, very meaningful way. The tackle from Utah State, I absolutely love his film. The more I watch that kid, the more I'm like, oh, he's going to be playing on Sundays. He's going to make himself some money on Sundays there. The thing is, we needed a ton of help on defense in some very crucial spots. And I think that we got better in ways. I think that we solidified them in ways, but I don't think that we have bona fide playmakers, bona fide impact players that you say, this guy is the type of guy, he's going to turn the tide in your favor in multiple games just because he's there as opposed to any other power 4 corner or power 4 linebacker, power 4 edge rusher. I just don't see us being there in terms of those pickups. And that's no disrespect to those young men. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope that all of our transfers that we got as edge rushers go out there and get 6, 8, 10 sacks apiece. I hope they do. I just don't see that out of what we have at the moment. So I think 6.5, if that's what Vegas believed before, I'm not surprised that it didn't move at all based on what we did in the portal.
Before they were even released at all, I think I predicted that it would be 6.5 or right around. It remains at 6.5. And in my personal opinion, I do think that is right on the money. It's really hard to project what NC State will or will not be, being that they return a lot of the offense. But the defense took some massive losses with guys entering the portal, and you can only really hope to patch up those holes. You can't really repair them completely when you're looking at Cooley and Fitzgerald and Aiden White and Davin Van moving on, Brandon Cisse moving on in the portal. That was a lot to stomach right there at the portal deadline. And NC State did their very best to replace some of those guys. And I just don't know if the NC State defense can rise up to push you over what is that 6.5 mark. The offense, like we've been talking about pretty consistently, is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And while that's fine, you still have to be able to score those points. And if Kurt Roper can let off the leash a little bit and essentially like let the boys play, you got to air this thing out and use all the weapons that you have. Maybe you could win a game or two that you weren't expected to win. But on the flip side of that, if you can't stop anybody on defense, you might lose a couple of the games that you might have thought, maybe these are a gimme. Not so fast, my friend. And especially looking at that week 1 game, which we will touch on here in just a couple of minutes. Zooming back out to the ACC as a whole, do any of these other ones catch your eye, Kenton? Maybe too high or too low?
Cal at 6.5 is absolutely absurd, with all due respect. And I love me some Kendrick Raphael. I think that he's going to be a wonderful bell horse for them and all that good stuff. Here's the problem. They have so much turmoil. They have so much replacing of players to do. And they not only have a ton of players replacing to do, they have to do it post-spring. It's not just like that team lost a bunch of talent over the entire offseason. No. At 11:59, in terms of entering the spring portal, their entire running back room was like, actually, we're good here. This is a team that lost their starting quarterback, that lost 5 of their top 7 pass catchers from last year. You cannot convince me that Cal is going to be a 7-win team next year. And also Duke at 6.5 is some great value. I think they go over that. I think they go over that fairly easily. I think Manny Diaz has learned some lessons, and he's a much better coach the second time around. I think they get over 6.5.
Yeah, I got to tell you what, when I saw Cal at 6.5, just like we are, pit in my stomach, because the way that Cal has experienced loss in the transfer portal is substantially higher than us, and yet we're still standing at the exact same win total. Now, I have not looked at Cal's schedule that closely. I'll have to go look at it some other time, but to see Cal and what they've witnessed in this offseason have the same 6.5 mark for NC State doesn't exactly give you a ton of confidence going into 2025. I will tell you that. Syracuse at 5.5 kind of surprised me. I have looked at Syracuse's schedule, though. It's a tough one. They got Miami, they got Notre Dame, they have Tennessee, they have Clemson. They have their work cut out for them, certainly, but 5.5 for Syracuse was a bit of a surprise. I think Clemson's going to go over 9.5. I think they're going to be clear and far away the team to beat in the ACC. Outside of that, everything else feels about right. I know Stanford's in a world of hurt. Wake Forest is not far behind them. Everything else feels in place, but yeah, to see Cal and NC State both sitting at 6.5, not the greatest of feelings, I'll be honest there.
The Dirty Foot Club is absolutely not getting 8 wins next year. I don't know what people are looking at or what people are thinking. That is not an 8-win team. That is, if anybody is putting in for them to get 8 wins, I just know you smoke cigarettes and call people at 3 a.m. saying you have a great bead on the Indonesian spelling bee. I just know that's you. I know that you're that person. Number 1, call that hotline. Number 2, put the cigarettes down. Those things are going to kill you. But in all seriousness, there's no way that they get 8 games.
Some summer win totals to chew on to help get us closer to football season. We are now under 100 days away from kicking this thing off. And suddenly there's already a week 1 line posted, NC State versus ECU. NC State is substantially favored. We'll talk more about this after a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes of our Wednesday show. As I mentioned there before the break, the opening week 1 line for NC State football, week 1 against ECU. It will be in Carter Finley, Thursday night game. NC State is an early 14-point favorite. That scares me a little to say that out loud. 14 points after the last time we saw them. I really don't even want to say this. ECU beat us in the Military Bowl. How in the world does NC State get 14 points at home, Kenton?
Well, number one, I think the biggest part that you said at the end of that sentence there is important. At home. This is going to be a home game. This is going to be a situation where obviously Wolfpack Nation is going to show up. That's just part and parcel of the gig here. But more importantly, we're looking at CJ Bailey. I really think that people are undervaluing the jump that CJ Bailey is going to make this year. I really and truly do. He's gone through an entire offseason being the guy. If you have seen the young man in person in quite some time, he is substantially bigger. He does not. Last year, he was a string being out there, and it was like, of course, the mechanics and all that were breaking down at the end of the game. The young man was tired. He was exhausted. His body was not prepared for a full season of college football. That's no disrespect to him. He did the best he could, and he did a damn good job. But this year, more bulked up, more being in the playbook for an entire year, understanding you are the guy. You're not taking reps for second teamers. We don't have to work out timing issues in the middle of the season. You have been the guy from day one going into this offseason. I expect special things from him, and I believe that this line is saying that they expect special things from him in this wide receiving core as well, because not only is he the guy, Noah Rogers, another year, Wesley Grimes, another year, Justin Jolie, the best kept secret in all of college football, in my opinion, is going to be back. And that offensive line, I'll tell you this much. When you talk about the ability to air the ball out, Peak and Anderson on those edges, I feel comfortable. I feel good. And I'm going to tell you something. I feel so good about those two. I believe not that they'll dominate. I think they can hold up against Clemson's edge rushers. And Clemson's got two of the best in the nation. They got two guys that are going to be in the green room shorter than my hair in terms of the NFL draft next year. And I think that our two, they can hold their own. They can be good enough. And we've seen some times where we had guys that were NFL guys that got the wheels whooped off them. I don't think that'll be the case for these two. So I understand where the 14-point favorite comes from. Just go out there and back up Vegas at this point.
Like you said a couple minutes ago, that week one test and a barometer of sorts will tell us pretty early on what we'll be working with in the 2025 season. And we kind of got that to a certain degree last season against Western Carolina, came out flat. I think we had to fight to take the lead back as late as the fourth quarter in that opening week game. And we instantly got nervous because we had Tennessee week 2. We all know how that went, got our doors blown off. And then, everything else happened the rest of the season. It's like, maybe we did learn a lot in the first couple weeks of the season. This year, to see ECU in back-to-back games coming off the bowl loss, now you have them coming to Raleigh. I think it's another situation where we might be finding out a lot very early in the season. If you struggle and possibly even struggle mightily with ECU in week 1, it's not going to inspire a whole lot of confidence. If you find a way to lose this game, you want to talk about apathy. We've talked about apathy a ton on the men's basketball side the last couple of years. You will experience apathy on an extreme level for football if you lose that one. You talk about losing the fan base, see ya. You will lose the fan base entirely if you drop that one. But 14 points at home. To Kenton's point, I can understand some of that from the offensive side of the ball for NC State because you do have year 2 of CJ Bailey. You have all the offensive weapons that are certainly more capable than, let's be honest, anything that ECU has. The flip side of that, can NC State stop them? Now, I haven't gone in depth because it's still early in the summer. I don't know everybody that ECU lost, whether in the portal or to graduation. So we're going to have to do our homework before that thing kicks off. But I would anticipate that NC State probably lost more talent than they gained coming into this year. In most cases for ECU, that's probably also true, but that's where the homework will come into play. I say all that to say, I don't know if I would take 14 points in NC State's direction right now. Maybe my tune will change by the time late August rolls around, but 14 points seems a bit steep, but that's where the work comes in for this summer. You have to prove Vegas right for having some faith in you after you embarrassed yourselves the last time you saw the Pirates in Washington, D.C. So I thought that was interesting, but I certainly want to hear y'all's thoughts as well. Would you, right now, if they played this Saturday, would you take NC State to win by 14 or more points? Tell us in the comments your thoughts on that one. That will do it for us here on Wednesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box. Give us your thoughts on potentially, why not both? If it's going to be Darrion Williams, if it's going to be PJ Haggerty, or Porque No Los Dos. Give us your thoughts on the ACC football win totals as we move through the summer. NC State stands at 6.5. Give us your thoughts there. And NC State getting 14 points at home against the ECU Pirates in week 1 of the 2025 season. Feels like a lot of points to me, but tell us what you think in the comment box. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Thursday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.